Hi everyone, Andrew here. You can probably guess from, well, you don't really have to guess because it's going to be the title of the video, but we're going to talk about some Nintendo 64 stuff. So apparently there's been a little bit of a leak for NSO that some people have put together the blurred background from a more recent NSO trailer for the CRT filters that Nintendo put out. People have kind of found that there were some boxes in the background that are not necessarily released yet on the application. And you know, I think they've basically figured out what those games are. Of course, with every leak Nintendo related, take it with a grain of salt. It might be nothing, might be placeholder, it literally could just be anything. There are games for the NES application that people thought were going to come out like a couple years ago that have not come out yet. So basically the games in question, I'll get out of these two out of the way. So you got Glover, which I had Glover, and I probably still have it on Nintendo 64 somewhere in a closet. Not a great game. It's definitely one that I think a lot of people have nostalgia for. I don't think it necessarily aged very well, but I mean, I haven't thought about it in a long time, so it's one of those things, like when I think about playing it, I think it's frustrating, but you know, I might be inclined to give it a slight go again, just for the sake of the childhood nostalgia. It's also Forsaken 64, which I don't really know how I feel about this one. This is actually something that kind of hurts this leak a little bit because M-rated games for Nintendo 64 are on the Nintendo 64 Mature app, not on the main app. So I don't really know how I feel about that being there. That's kind of why I said these things might be placeholder. Or maybe it's a dev build. You know, maybe that's the case. Maybe Nintendo has a special build that just has all of them on a single application, but for release they have to divide them up. Who knows? It could really be anything. But yeah, Forsaken 64, I never played it. I don't really have that much context for it. But I mean, if it's on the application, I might try it. You know, it's just kind of one of those things. The other two games are significantly more nostalgic and a lot more up my alley. So we got Donkey Kong 64, which, you know, it's a Rare game, and Rare makes pretty good collectathons. I think Donkey Kong 64 is a game that a lot of us have a lot of nostalgia for, but we'll still acknowledge is not the best. Like, it's definitely one of the worst slogs out of all the Rare games to get through, just because, you know, you have to basically swap between all the Kongs to get the different colors of bananas if you want to collect everything, and you're replaying levels over and over again just trying to get everything. Is kind of a hassle. But you know, the music's great, the world is fun to run around in, and the characters, I mean, they're the Kongs, you know, it's the iconic DK rap comes from that game, and that's, you know, it's important in certain aspects, but at the same time, it's not a game that I think people are gonna play and be like, holy cow, this is the best game I've ever played, you know. Now the other game that was in the leak that actually has me really excited was Super Smash Bros., which I do have my original box copy up there of the Nintendo 64 sign. Might be a little hard to see with the light being on. Also got my Ocarina of Time up there. I have had those since they came out, and I love both very much, and I would be very excited to see Smash Bros. On NSO. And I really hope it paves the way for maybe on GameCube they put Melee. And I think if NSO can provide original Smash and Melee, NSO right then and there will be exponentially increased in value. Like, I think that would be a huge day for a lot of people, especially the Smash community. I think that would just be a lot of fun, and it would be great to just revisit those games, especially original Smash. I think original Smash 64 is kind of forgotten by a lot of people. Of course, if you didn't grow up in that era, it would make sense. But I think it's genuinely a really fun game on its own. So that would be a lot of fun to revisit. Again, take all of this with a grain of salt. We don't know if this is all just placeholders or a dev build or something. And the thing with Rare right now, like Rare is kind of in a weird spot because Microsoft just kind of like killed off the Perfect Dark reboot they were working on. I don't know what the future holds for Rare, but they technically made that game. I don't know what the legal ramifications are there, because it is a Nintendo product, and they've definitely used the DK wrap in other media, like the Super Mario Bros. Movie has the DK wrap, and then the new Donkey Kong Bonanza has like a remix of it. So obviously, and all the Smash Bros. Have it. So obviously Nintendo can definitely put that game on there without Rare's, permission. But I'm really not sure. It's just I would like for this to be real, because two guaranteed bangers and two kind of weird picks. I like that. I like that about the NSO classics collections like that. Just you get some games are good, and then some games that you've never played before, or you kind of vaguely remember but would like to try again. So, anyways, yeah, don't get too excited. Like, it might happen, it might not. We'll see. Anyways, hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time.